Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here. Hope you're having a good week so far. And if you want to follow along this morning, we're going to be back in the third chapter of James, beginning in verse 14. James writes these words: But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. I actually read one more verse than I meant to today. We're only going to go through the 16th verse. But James is speaking to us here about false wisdom and the wisdom of this world. It's really a sad description when we look at it and consider again what James is warning us about and trying to get us to understand about the danger of this world's wisdom, of the risk that we run by falling trap to what is acceptable in the world's eyes and what the world agrees. The world is, he says, but if you have bitter envying and strife, I think those three words are very accurate description of much of the attitude in our world today. Go out into the public marketplace and around, and you will see bitter envying and strife everywhere. And and James says here, that doesn't come from God. That's not a nature. That's not the way that God designs things. In fact, not only is that, I think, part of our culture, common part, it's also even a respected part of our culture. When somebody, just tells somebody off, or somebody just is really, just really hateful in their words and all, we almost look up to that. Look at that, boy, they stood their ground, that kind of thing. But he says that's a false picture. That's not genuine wisdom. He's talked about it here in other places about strife and envy and those things not coming down from God. And he says that wisdom, he says, that doesn't come from above. This idea that if I tell somebody off, if I that's not from God. He says that's earthly, that's sensual, that is devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. One of the most common places I think most of us can probably relate to that is in the workplace. If you've ever worked in a place that had envying and strife, envying in particular, there'll be people who are jealous of this person's office, or jealous of that person's promotion, or jealous of how much that person makes, or that person's relationship with the boss, or those kind of things. And the trouble it causes, and just strife in general. When you put people together in a close environment in the workplace, there's often disagreements and difficulty between them. Families sometimes, same situation. When we put too many people together in a close proximity, those kind of things rear up. And James says when that happens, he says there is confusion. And then the phrase that really concerns me here at the end of that verse, he says, and every evil work. Think about that. Every evil work. There is nothing that is beyond the reach of envying and strife. How many people have been hurt, killed even, over envying and strife? Two very dangerous characteristics. And again, false teaching, false wisdom stirs that up. Again, that that you ought to have that. This is fair. This isn't fair. Those kind of things that stir up the envying and the strife. And from that point, he says, every evil work is a possibility. That's a scary thought. And I hope it, what is the old phrase, scared straight? I hope it causes each of us this morning to back up and think for a moment. Is there any envying or strife in my life? He says, if we do, he says, that didn't come from God. He said, that's not from God. He says, and the danger is that envy and strife in our life, that envy and that anger, he says, it has the potential to produce every evil work. Sobering thought. Hope you'll think about that today. Have a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.